We recognize that debates need to be fair and also how debates need to be accessible. We think that everybody deserves to get access to debate as well as watch those debates. The assumption coming from the government is that people who perform in state-funded recordings are good, are automatically good, and they can become examples. First of all, this is not technically true. We think that there are a lot of people participating in state-funded tournaments who are not particularly good, but they're participating still in that tournament. So it's not. So we don't think it is something exclusive to their side. Moreover, think about this: if you're forcing someone to be recorded while they're performing, think about how uncomfortable it would be for them. Think about the performance that they're going to be giving, the kind of their confidence, and also the insecurities that they have. We think if they do give this performance under this consensual recording, what you will get best from the government is minimum performance. You don't get the best performance out of these kids because they don't feel comfortable in showing that. I'm going to talk about that in my arguments. Some points of rebuttal. First of all, on how on the point that government already paid these students. We think that just because government pays you doesn't mean that they automatically pay for the hard work that these students did. We think that they only paid for the accommodation and all that. They didn't pay for the sacrifices that these kids made, the preparation that these kids made in order to get to the point of being in that state-funded tournament. These preparations, they may not like it to be seen by other people because simply they want their progress to be private, and this privacy is important because we want to ensure personal development of those individuals. When you try to force them to be recorded for the development of other people, we think that what best is you stop these personal developments because now they feel like they're performing for other people, not for the improvement of themselves. We think that this can have some benefits. However, the harms is that you stop those people, you hamper those people from performing their best because of the insecurities that the government will be feeding from. Also, on the point of transparency, on how transparency can be seen by recording those people performing. We think that this is, first of all, false. We don't think that transparency can be judged by watching somebody debate. We think what's better is that you ask for testimony. It's much better to get things like transparency because, quite frankly, when you just watch people debate, you think that you can't really judge the transparency there because the results of debates are subjective. We think that you appeal to different adjudicators differently. You don't have the same rules for each adjudicator. Therefore, we don't think that it can be a good metric for you to judge a performance, an adjudicator's accountability. Therefore, it should also fall. We think also about their mechanism on explaining in the briefing. We think they're already creating a hole for themselves here because we think that when you explain it in the briefing, we think this doesn't work because they're not giving for. They mention how they're going to give choices on how they're informing these individuals, but we think that this information is not important because at the end of the day you won't be able to choose. You still would have to comply with the government's rules. So this point of giving them information is useless, and we think that if you want to do this, you better give no briefing at all. We think that this mechanism doesn't stand. Points of arguments. In our side of the house, we're going to show you why the interest of the government is held better in our side of the house, and also we're going to show you how consent is not only consent is important in its essence, but also how it makes these students perform better. So, what are the interests of the government? We think that the interest of the government is one of them is to develop talents. Also, they want their citizens to feel happy, safe, and secure. That's why they fund these state tournaments, because they want to build these relationships and show to these people that they care and they want them to improve. Therefore, states need to make sure that in achieving those things, they ask for what's best for these individuals. We think that they need to appeal to individuals differently. You think and this leads to our points of arguments. We have two in my speech. First of all, on how people on how it bears a huge emotional baggage for people being recorded. And secondly, on how the government feeds on insecurities. First argument is on how it bears a huge emotional baggage. People who get recorded when they're not feeling uncomfortable, they perform with a huge emotional baggage. They have fears lingering in their heads. They have fears that they will be judged for if they perform badly. They fear that one single recording of you on YouTube, for example, is the definition of your whole career or your whole debating performance. They feel that by one performance you will you will be eternally judged. What they might say is that this will push students to perform their best, but we think no. Because you are in the debate chamber, instead of thinking of the best arguments, you're thinking about how to appeal to people and how to make them happy, how to make them less sad, and how to make them satisfied with your performance, instead of using your own metric, using your own self-determination to calculate your progress and perform accordingly. We think that you don't need people to approve how you perform. We think that individuals progress differently, and that's why we think it's better that these individuals keep it to themselves so they can progress. Because then, this fear of getting bullied, for example, imagine you're performing in an NSDC final, yet at this point, and you have a huge emotional baggage. You fear of being, and you have one bad performance in this final. What you fear is you fear of being judged. You fear that this has defined your whole debating career. This is harmful for your development, because people who see you will see that this is the kind of debater that he or she is. This is him. Even though there are plenty of other debates that he can perform in, and we think that it is not that it harms that. We think that what this will cause, moreover, is also fear of participation. Imagine if you're being judged and then you have to bear this huge emotional baggage. You will have fear of participation. You don't want to participate anymore because you have the trauma of getting into those competitions. Some people who are already good at debating, who are already confident in themselves, may just shut off those people who make negative remarks among them. But in state-funded tournaments, the goal of the state is to develop these kids. These kids are fairly new. They need coaching. They need improvement. But with such kind of remarks, that's really putting down their confidence. It is more likely that people fear of participation. They fear of the outcome of participating or not performing well. We think that they deserve to know. If you record and if you don't record. And also, we think that the purpose is to show. The purpose of recording, that they said, is to give an image of how the debater should perform, so for people to learn. But like we said, if you have this, what you're likely going to give is minimum performance, because you're constantly thinking of the recording. You're not giving your best, and you're just giving your minimum performance. We think that people need to feel secure if they want to perform their best. They need to know what and how the information is going to be used. We think that if the concern is about how it keeps transparency and how it can be improved for the years coming forward, we think that there are better tools that you can use for that. Tools like testimonies. There are also official government reports that you can look from. We don't think that you can judge the metrics of how good a tournament is by watching a debate video, because the performances of these people are relatively subjective. It changes, it fluctuates from performance to performance. It's not constant, so you can't really judge from one single video or a compilation of videos. That's why on our side of the house, we care about the emotional health of these people. We also don't want these people to feed on their insecurities, and we want people to think that people deserve to know where and who their information is going to. Thank you.